All right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We're here to talk more WWE, the comings and goings, basically the Raw SmackDown leading into SummerSlam. Obviously, we have a lot to cover more of SummerSlam than Raw and SmackDown. Um, so, so again, we have Raw the build up. We continue to have the build up with the match for Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins being the referee. Um, you know, Good build to that. Um, Definitely, there was a lot of room for either side of it for Seth Rollins to play against, which I think played into the match. Um, so we have this continued feud between, I guess, the old Alpha Academy people, Akira Tozawa, Otis, and Maxine, and now Chad Gable has his new lackeys, who have basically angered the Wyatt Six. And so we finally got to see the Wyatt Six essentially unmasked, even though everybody knew who they were. But it was a very cool moment to just kind of see them, you know, I guess, unmasked. I mean, because obviously the mask, you really can't wrestle in the masks, honestly. So I think finally getting to see the visual and to have them get involved in a match to sort no not only a match but just and letting them fight basically. And so now you basically we I think on Raw I think we do have them. I think it is a 3-on-3 for Raw, which that's going to be cool. I honestly think it's just going to be straight dominance. I don't think you can't water down the Wyatt Six, so I feel like this is just going to be a quick 5-10 minutes tops game set match. Wyatt Six stand over him. Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy comes out, does his thing, and that's pretty much how that's going to roll out. Don't see them giving a lot of time to that particular match and story. Um, we continue to have Sheamus and Butch, Pete Dunne, whatever you want to call him. Him basically just he doesn't have his tag team partner, so now he's just kind of feuding with anybody and everybody. Um, which honestly, I feel like that's the Pete Dunne we want, though. We want the bruiserweight. We want that, super intense. I don't give a crap. I'm small, but I'll still mess you up. Um, so again, rolling through Raw, we have what seems to be the fallout of New Day. Karrion Kross and the Final Testament continue to basically break apart. New Day, Kofi was out with an injury, went to Japan, got re-injured. So really, we're not going to even really see him. Um, Xavier Woods, basically, I mean, it seems to be a foregone conclusion that New Day might not be a thing in the next coming months. We'll continue to watch and see what happens. I mean, that's kind of the mantra of wrestling is just wait and see. Um, so you have Gunther and Finn Balor fight in the main event of Raw, and obviously we knew eventually Damian was gonna come out. And honestly, like I love the intensity between Gunther and Damian Priest in the last couple weeks leading up to SummerSlam. Just an absolute brawl and an absolute banger. Um, and that's pretty much all we really got as far as Raw. SmackDown, really kind of the same thing. We basically have, you know, Cody Rhodes and Solo come out, meet. Really no physical confrontation. Cody's like, well, bloodline rules, bring it on. Which, when you hear that and you hear, with the whole Cody thing, you basically kind of, it's a foregone conclusion he's going to win just because there's no rules essentially. It's basically tap or 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So, um, so LA Knight again with the whole Logan Paul thing, ends up stealing his truck, um, which I mean, it's funny. It's I because
It was
anybody
hilarious.
anybody who watches this podcast knows how I feel about them. So, you know,
Oh yeah, we both
I
do too.
I
Like
love LA
100%.
Knight. I think LA Knight is finally getting his come-ups, from being in the business for an extreme amount of time, different promotions, and I feel like when you get to WWE from any other lower promotion, you've hit the pinnacle, whether you're a jobber in the middle or you become a title holder. Um, so, definitely love this build. Um, Not really. The women's tag division thing just doesn't really appease me. I'm not really buying into it. Obviously, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, they're both phenomenal talents independently, and I feel like their matches seem to be one-upsmanship. And like we've talked about before, it's a slow build to a different outcome. So,
Right.
they obviously didn't win. Go figure. Obviously, by Blair Davenport coming out, interfering. Go figure, because we all know how the outside interference works. So in the main event of SmackDown, you have, and again, I said this last week, in a pretty easy prediction that the Bloodline would win versus DIY. Go figure. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. So, that's the Raw and SmackDown in like 6 minutes of conversation. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this meal. SummerSlam. So with the first match, we have Rhea versus Liv Morgan. You got without giving the ending, obviously we know the ending, but like the match in the start of it, were you kind of like, okay, Liv's just running around, right? You know, getting away from Rhea. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on, this match? Without the ending stuff yet, just the match itself, between the two, like, was it B minus? I'm not really don't think it's A quality. Um, so I mean, what do you guys think about the match?
It definitely was not high on my list of quality matches, but it was designed to tell another story. So maybe something I had to give. Maybe Rhea was still not 100% good to go, but she was cleared. She was good enough to go without being re-injured. So maybe the match was booked around, hey, be careful with each other, especially with your shoulders, ladies, and let's get to the meat and bones of the match, which was things that happened towards the end.
Me, I give the match a B. They both put on a great show, and plus Liv Morgan fucking up Rhea's shoulder again.
I
think I watched on Instagram. Her husband shared the same video of when he hurt his shoulder, he had another person yank on it and pop it back in. She pretty much kind of did the same thing almost, but she smacked her shoulder against the announce table to pop it back in. Then she took her arm and yanked it back in.
Yeah, she had it go out of socket more than once. That wasn't like a plug. That was it legit happened. You could see it. You could see her shoulder completely fooged.
Her arm was down a couple times.
Yeah, you could see that. I mean, she battled through it like a freaking champion, though. Her effort is nothing short of amazing, because that happened early. And then she would pop it, hit a couple, get a couple good moves in, then it would do it again. I think it said it was 3 or 4 times that it got pulled out, and that's insane.
And if that's the case, she's definitely going to need surgery. If that's not a work on us, that really happened and it's not like playing up for the sympathy of the crowd, like, you know, of all the things that transpired during the match and after the match. Yeah, she's gonna need surgery. We're not gonna see her for a while. She's not gonna be in ring. You know, but kudos to Rhea. She's definitely an upper echelon endurance performer right now. Yeah. So
Yeah, she pulled through it no matter how many times Liv Morgan stomped on it before she popped it back in and kicked it and all this other shit.
I think that was her trying to put it back into place. like
Probably.
I really think it was very targeted. So like when you seen her doing it, it was like I think she was literally trying to help her because she was very strategic on the part she was kicking, like trying to get it back. But like you said, endurance, dude. Like you gotta give respect where respect is due of wrestlers that fight through injuries. And I don't think a shoulder blade is popping out. I think that's gonna be a ice it for a while. Be in ring for maybe a couple weeks. We're definitely gonna see her tomorrow though. Like there's the absolute fallout of Judgment Day on the rise. We'll work our way through that whole thing, but I mean,
I'm gonna say Rhea and maybe Rhea and Damian Priest might start out the show because they both got fucked over by Judgment Day members.
It's gonna be interesting, but I mean, the thing is though, is that
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, and we've all been kind of preying on the downfall of it all, but I mean, obviously SummerSlam was a whole different tornado of bits and pieces of that breaking apart. So now we'll get to the dessert of this match, and that is the end of it. That is Dom being very intentional. And the thing is, even before, like when it all happened, like before even anything, the kiss or anything that happened, he literally was like, he turned and he was smiling. And you're like, oh, yep. But now we see where this is going. And man, they sucked face like I've never seen before.
Liv was like shocked when he picked her up and then looked at her. Then he reached in for a kiss. And she's like, all right.
I really want to know what his wife thinks. Or maybe he's like,
I want to know what her boyfriend thinks. Her boyfriend is
maybe they're gonna have a freaking
it's all part of the story. I'm sure that they got it cleared. I'm sure their significant others, gave them,
bring her.
Look at this now. Rhea's single now. There you go.
Single. First of all, yeah,
that is a whole different podcast for a whole different storyline.
Yeah.
So now you have Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn, which, man,
that was a good
just
match.
An insane. Like that match is an easily A+. Like I just think the fact that no matter how much Zayn talks himself up, he's always viewed as the underdog, even though he's been a successful wrestler for so long, and he's no different than the size of like a Seth Rollins or a Finn Balor. He's bigger than Finn Balor, but like, they always, it's like underdog. And I'm like, dude, he's a phenomenal fighter. Like he's been doing it for 2 decades. Like get off his jock about being an underdog. I mean, but in this particular scenario though, the I will break you with a spear 23 miles an hour on the ropes, Braun Breaker, you're an underdog, buddy. I thought the match was, and I said this, I was like, Braun Breaker's gonna get that title, dude, and he got it. And I feel like his dad and his uncle, and then DDP were up there, and they showed that whole moment, and I thought that was just awesome. I think with the him and his the parents and the dads and all hating WWE and blah blah blah. Now that Braun Breaker's in WWE and now he's in the main roster, he gets that first championship, and I feel like that's just an exuberant amount of respect, because Braun's put in the work. I mean,
yeah,
he dominated NXT. He came to the main roster, and he's only been on the main roster for like 6 months, and he's holding gold. So, congrats, 100% over. It's very rare in this business that you get a talent like Braun Breaker. He's not as big as Brock Lesnar, but he is sure as hell is fat. He's faster than Brock Lesnar.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, dude. He comes off those ropes like the little black bullet thing in Mario. Like he just comes on, and it's like, how do you even do that?
I mean,
Seriously,
yeah.
People talk about wrestling this, wrestling that. I'm like, I want to see you go back and forth in the ropes and get up to 23 miles an hour. Yeah, you ain't gonna do it. So, definitely congrats to Braun Breaker. So now we have my favorite someone getting punched in the face match. LA Knight versus Logan Paul. I don't understand how Logan Paul can talk so much crap about his city and his state, and yet you want them to like you. You're not the hometown anything. And then LA Knight reference, he wasn't even from Cleveland.
Let's say the only person that when Logan Paul was technically in his hometown is still reps his hometown, MGK.
Yeah, MGK can suck a dick.
Hey, I'm a MGK fan all the way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that's
him and
editable.
Him, no, it's not. I'm not editing that for anything. This is a no edit episode. Did you know that? No, I just think he's just a goon. He keeps on changing his genre to justify his music, and he just keeps on getting dogged on. And then he tattoos his whole body black. Man,
he did that because he's trying to get rid of his demons. He wants to make his life a little bit better.
Oh, well.
Well, there you have it, folks.
That's cool. Well, I am not on the MGK train.
Hey, I went to his concerts and chilled with him, drank with him, and smoked with him.
Marshall Mathers for life.
Oh, I'm an Eminem fan too.
What does this have to do with the match?
So, anyways, so
sing it some
Logan
more.
Logan comes out first. LA Knight comes out second. But before he comes out, he blasts in the plastic windows. And I feel like it'd have been more effective if they were glass windows, but they were like plastic plexiglass. I'm like, come on, man.
Maybe that's all he could afford with everything going on.
Yeah, from Robert on the
but
drum.
I digress. Yep.
But I digress. But I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, though. Honestly, Logan Paul, I mean, that dude can move around the ring. And again, this would be the only nice thing I say about this whole match. But but he's, he tried to cheat his way out of things and everything, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And, tries to come around, get the good swing in, misses the swing. BFT, game, set, match. LA Knight is your new United States champion. Again, congratulations. Yeah. Thank God. Maybe Logan Paul will just go back to I don't know what, playing Tetris professionally. I don't know. But, I want him gone. I hope he stays gone. I hope he's back serving tacos. And if you need a water with that, I just think he's a crazy good athlete when you wrestle 3 times. You defend your title 3 times. 3 times. In damn near 2/3 of a year. That's a disgrace to calling yourself anything dominant, okay? Roman defended his title more than that. And I just think when you talk about dominance, his 2 title defenses, and he lost the 3rd, I don't call that a good run. I call that a holding the title captive. So I'm glad it's gone. Now we're gonna go back to, now that our IC title and our United States Champion are both on people that are gonna wrestle every week. I want that. I'm glad that it's gonna be that now. Because if you think LA Knight's not gonna defend that every week, or at least every other week, same thing with Braun Breaker.
Same did.
Yeah, I mean, Braun Breaker, he's going to have an open
It's
challenge.
just Logan Paul didn't do it.
Don't get me started. But I think we're gonna get. I think Braun Breaker's gonna do a United States Open Challenge, and he's gonna destroy anybody. But they're gonna be like 90% jobbers, though. So I mean,
Or at least
it is.
I'm gonna
people that are
laugh.
undercards,
I
man.
would laugh if one of his opponents, if he does an open challenge, I would laugh my ass off if it was John Cena.
I don't think John Cena's going after secondary gold.
I don't know.
You know,
I mean-
it could be that might be a really interesting take. Like,
But do you,
yeah,
but do you,
for
if
him
you-
to like,
but the
you know,
thing is,
give
but
the
if-
rub to like, you know,
but
to
he's
everyone going out.
But he's chasing the 17th title, so the putting him in the secondary title picture does not do anything.
But it's also like it could be considered a warm-up match. It could be a disqualification. It could be we're going to get a quick CM Punk John Cena program. You know, it could be any number of things. But I don't think I would mind seeing a John Cena versus new generation of WWE performers and having him like mentor them through the match and having that be, you know, part of his legacy. You know,
I just don't know what
just
the
imagine
cycle-
a Carmelo Hayes and John Cena match. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I
Or,
could buy
you know,
into that.
yeah,
I
or
just
you
think
know,
putting him in a title contention thing doesn't make much sense. But I just feel like at what point? I mean, obviously we're not into 2025 yet, so we really don't even know what's even really happening.
right.
In regards to John Cena. So I mean, you know, it's
Yeah,
going to be interesting.
we don't know, but part of this is like the fun fantasy booking. So I don't mind thinking like, hey, what if we did get a John Cena Braun Breaker and John Cena's role is to kind of, I don't know, like maybe focus him a little bit more or maybe tell some type of story like, you know, where Braun Breaker is the epitome of ruthless aggression. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But learning how to temper that, you know, and with a Carmelo Hayes, it's more of, you know, you're so off on being so braggadocious. Let your body of work prove itself. So maybe it's more like John Cena, you know, mentoring these people through these matches, and we get like a CM Punk's like, why are you wasting your time on them? You know, I know why you're really back. It's for me, you know, and then we can, you know, really get into deep, like how we would fantasy book John Cena's last few months in the WWE as an active performer. So, but you know, I do see, you're right, more of the open challenge matches. I think those are fun. I think those are really a great way to hook people into WWE programming. And it's also a great way to restart, you know, weekly defenses and weekly matches. So you're guaranteed to see a championship match
Right.
every week because of these open challenges. So yeah, give me Braun Breaker versus anybody, you know, give me LA Knight versus anybody, you know, as long as those championships show up and there's activity around them, that means that there are other people getting opportunities to be on television that might not get it. You know, I just know Ilya Dragunov is just waiting in the wings. When he's cleared and he's good to go, I think we're going to get, you know, some really solid matches and a lot of solid work from him. It's just that, you know, Braun, they're just so excited about Braun backstage and with officials and management that they had to pull this trigger. Otherwise, I don't think
He's
you would have got
kind
the
of the
look.
next big. He's kind of the next big thing. I mean, I feel like, you know, he's, you know, they're kind of giving him Gunther treatment. We'll call it. I think that, you know, you've brought him on, and now we've watched him dominate, and now we've given him a secondary title. So let's see what happens with the fans, the draw, you know, and maybe, I mean, Gunther's on the main roster for probably 2 years. So, if not a little bit longer. And so, they're just I feel like this is that same situation because Braun Breaker is definitely a champion in the making. So we're just gonna kind of run this. We're gonna see what happens, see how the fans like it because Triple H actually does listen to the fans. And so like, when you see a lot of these, these rumor videos and stuff and they're talking and it's like a lot of the things they say do come to fruition. So I mean, I feel like this is again the Paul Levesque era, and so this is a little more creative direction, a little more input from the wrestlers. Even as far as the fans, I mean that's how Cody came to be, right? We want the hashtag we want Cody. That changed the whole thing because the fans wanted it. So, we'll see what happens in the next, you know, we'll call it a year with Braun Breaker, and we'll see where it lands. I mean, Gunther literally went from basically he lost his title, but then went to King of the Ring and then ran roughshod through everybody with that. So, um, so speaking of King and I guess Queen of the Ring, so we have Nia Jax versus Bailey, which I think that's pretty much everything we wanted or knew it would be.
Yeah.
I think it finally gave Nia Jax that just, she's had the mantra of their, immovable object or whatever, and so like this match definitely gave her the freedom to do so. And so definitely, honestly, I'd say a solid like A minus to this match. I definitely think it had the aspects of, just a good straight up match. Obviously, you have a bigger opponent versus a smaller opponent. You had a little bit of outside interference, but it wasn't too much. And so honestly, like I'm good with this. Obviously, Nia Jax won, which kudos and congratulations to her because I feel like again, this culmination of coming, going, and then coming back and kind of revamping her character. I'm good with Queen Nia Jax women's champion. I'm good with that. So um so now we get what's that?
Let's say I think this is her second or third time having that title.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So now we get to the match that is a make or break for you guys, not for me. So Drew McIntyre and CM Punk with the special referee one Seth freaking Rollins. So I will just sit back and you guys can say your piece and I'll let you guys do what you want to do with this. So thoughts on the match, guys?
So the match was not as one-sided as I hoped for. It was not a clear dominant. There was definitely a story that was being told between the two, or between the three rather. I thought Seth Rollins could have just been more of a fashionista. His ref's outfit was pretty tame. It definitely did give me Shawn Michaels vibes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So what I wanted is I wanted him to just, to blur the lines of what a ref should look like and what Seth Rollins looks like.
He had the $10,000 sparkly pants. I mean,
but
they
didn't light up. I mean,
he still had what Drew said on the pre-show, whatever, called him a male stripper. He had that male stripper style theme going with the pants.
Yeah, if he would have ripped them off, I would have been like, oh, well, there you
go. I'm out.
I would have been like, all right, this has gone way.
This went from WWE to male.
He's got SFR and bedazzle on his ass cheeks.
Yes.
Oh man, like Mr. Ass with some lips on it.
Right.
Sorry,
so I think the letdown for me in this whole match was I didn't get that dominant Drew McIntyre but I got a Drew McIntyre that played it safe, that he knew that there was, that if he lost, it would be just awful. That part of that take on the story would have just been awful to his, his confidence, his career, everything that he says. Um, so his positioning and his movements were in the ring was more of in the back of your minds, like, don't let up. You don't like either one of these guys, but the one that you want is CM Punk, and he's always been able to put one above you. So always, be cautious with every movement. But yeah.
And I don't think we've seen a lot out of. I don't think we've seen a lot of anything out of CM Punk. I think CM Punk was very
agree.
mild.
I agree with him. The match, I'm gonna give my opinion. I'm gonna give that match. I'm gonna give it an A. I like it. I thought it was good. They both put on a great story. All three of them did.
I just
And I like how both people kicked out of each other's finisher moves.
You know what? Then why have a finisher? I mean,
I know
Gunther doesn't have a finisher.
He just got a slam.
I mean, he has the slam, and then he just does the. It's almost
he doesn't have like a set finisher, and I both hate that and I like it, because I think, well, we can talk about Gunther later, but
my opinion, I love the match. I enjoyed it. They both tore down the house. I like how Seth let them get away with whatever bullshit. Besides the whole chair thing, he didn't let that one slide. I was hoping he would. But I liked it. I think this is my opinion out of CM Punk. I think this is probably the best CM Punk I've seen in a while out of performance.
And I think that the people he was in the ring with cared for him, even though they don't care for him. So they put business and professionalism above their personal indifferences towards CM Punk.
But I think Drew's outside of the ring and outside behind the curtains. I don't think Drew has that much of an issue with CM Punk. I think the only person that has a dark, straight up hardcore issue is Seth. They won't be face to face in the back.
But Drew said on a podcast about a week before is that what's happening now with CM Punk is only scratching the surface. This goes back to, years and years and years ago. This isn't a newfound anything. CM Punk is just amplifying off the story that's already there. So what you're seeing now is just a culmination of what's been gone on for a decade. Because Drew literally said, like, this is not just the only, this little 4-month segment has nothing to do with the overall years. And so there's more depth to it than most average fans are understanding, because Drew's been very vocal about the fact that this isn't the beginning.
I don't know what the hell happened in the past.
I
mean, it could have been backstage politics. Like, he viewed CM Punk as getting handed things, and Drew's had to work for his. And honestly, like, I am in such a disagreement with the quality that CM Punk put on. I felt like it was like a nostalgic tour where you go see Metallica and you hear the 5 songs you want to hear, but they play anything new or anything else, and it just kind of doesn't hit the same. I mean, yeah, he hit the GTS on Seth, hit it on Drew. Like, I feel like he was playing it safe, which is fine. I feel like this is a warm up to, a 2-3 match thing that might go on. Obviously, like, he did look very rigid. He did look a little bit gassed, and that's fine. I mean, I don't think this is the, like we said before, this is probably going to be a 3-matcher, but, definitely don't think it's going to go beyond that. but I just think this is like the soft CM Punk where like, okay, we got a match underneath our belt now. Now we can see where we can work on, where we can improve moving forward. Because if he's gonna have any more matches beyond Drew McIntyre, which I'm just not, I don't know what's gonna happen, just because it's been very cut and dry with the story that he's in and he's been in. The only person that really is beyond Drew McIntyre is Seth Rollins, and we all know how that goes. I mean,
Yeah, you know
Seth
what?
said it right in the match to CM Punk's face. He's like, "No one wants you here." Like he was very vocal.
Very
You
Eddie
know,
Kingston. Very Eddie
Mhm.
Kingston.
yeah. And
Very yeah.
so, I obviously, I mean, this was a pretty cut and dry. Drew was going to win this. Obviously, we didn't. We don't know. Who knows?
Right.
There's all kinds of twists and turns that are decided the day of. But
Could have been decided right in the match.
it's
Drew could have
happened.
got hurt, and yeah. So yeah, it didn't get out of hand. No one went off script. I'm sure that there were some audibles that were called during the match, but all three of them are such professionals that we wouldn't have caught it even if
Oh
that
yeah.
happened.
Which
And I
oh,
yeah, I think one,
I
I do think CM Punk was protected in the match. Two,
I, I, I,
that
I
made it
I
come
agree.
off is as Drew being cautious as to not give him an inch, because if he did, game over. And it does lead to potentially other stories down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
Mm.
was it was it was a good get back in the ring match. It had the story seemed to be more important than the match. Um,
I think the match meant more because it was in Cleveland, and that's the town that CM Punk walked out on WWE on Raw
Mm.
yeah.
in 2000. I
So,
think it was 2014. I think it was.
well, yeah, he was gone for 10 years. So I think it was like 2013. I don't know.
Something like that.
So so let's move on. We'll go to so we have Gunther and Damian Priest, which like if you
God,
want to
I
see
love that match.
if you want to like the fact that Damian was hanging with Gunther and Gunther for the fact that he's only lost as a singles match, he only lost 2 matches since been on the main roster.
Yep.
Like that's a crazy stat. Like yeah, he's lost matches with Imperium and stuff like that, or some dark matches, but like as far as live matches, he's lost 2. That's it. 2 in 2 years. Like he held that IC title for what, 666 days. Like that's damn near, about a year and 2/3. So I mean, he doesn't lose. Like this, and the fact that he literally just ran through everybody in the King of the Ring, just ran through all of them. And honestly, I think he's going to hold that title for at least 6 to 8 months. Like where
I'm gonna say he's gonna hold it to WrestleMania.
and he's not
Yeah,
going to lose. He's not going to lose at WrestleMania.
yeah. The only
Whoever, because now the one. Okay, let's play pipe dream since we've
Okay.
just talked about Roman possibly getting moved to Raw. Now, wouldn't that be an interesting match to have Gunther versus Roman Reigns? That would be some high
Dad.
caliber, top notch. Give me the main event, Gunther and Roman Reigns.
I would love to see
If
that.
Roman goes to Raw as it's been previously kind of hinted at for the Netflix moving forward. Who knows? But like I think that would be an insane match.
I would book John Cena and Gunther at WrestleMania, and Gunther beating Cena. I don't see Cena getting the Sting treatment, but I could be wrong. He could get a title run before then. just to break Ric Flair's record. But I think ultimately, I would see Gunther versus Cena, Cena losing, then Gunther and Reigns after that. I don't see Gunther beating Roman Reigns.
I don't know, but that match was just awesome. Just seeing the freaking slaps.
Yeah.
And Gunther fucking bleeding from the slaps. And he looks at it, he's like, oh, that was like a shark seeing blood.
Well, and the fact that he went total Viking and took his blood and wiped it into his hair. Like this was, I mean, honestly, we knew the conclusion, but man, so let's get to the elephant in the room of Finn Balor putting Gunther's leg on the ropes. And it was honestly, it was kind of a stupid setup if you really think about it, because he rolled Gunther towards the ropes. So this was like a spot that wasn't even like, oh my gosh, this happened. Like, no, he rolled him to it. Like,
Right.
way to not surprise me of what's going to happen.
I think that can be explained a number of different ways, but the setup for that spot, somebody was out of position.
Well,
just
I mean,
having,
Gunther he could have rolled him if he rolled himself and that happened,
Yeah.
it'd be one thing. But Damian straight up rolled him. All he had to do was pin him, like in that whatever spot he was in, which wouldn't have been by the rope. But it's just like it was a weird spot. But I mean, all in all, obviously Gunther wins. It seemed like Finn Balor's spot was, I mean, it was mild at best, but obviously the outcome seemed like it was foregone anyways. So Gunther finally gets his world championship title. All the respect, all the congratulations to Gunther. I mean, they put on an insane match. I mean, it was intense. Like, I don't know, like, who can take a chop from Gunther and not feel it? Like, Damian's cheating, okay? He's cheating. He has a shirt on. Okay? You get some of the other guys, like if you ever seen, okay, so if you ever want to go back in the archives and see how destroyed. So if you go back and watch the Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther match, or I guess Walter at the time, for the UK NXT Championship title match. Holy hell. Okay? You want to talk about someone's chest that looks like every blood vessel's popped in it? That match. So those chops from Gunther, I don't know, like, it seems like a basic move, but I don't know how he makes it slap so damn hard and hurt so bad. But just damn. Like, and so, again, congratulations to Gunther. Gunther definitely, now we get, an absolute bigger ego on Gunther, which, it fits who he is. Okay.
Right.
Him respecting the mat and respecting the sport is not part of his story thing. It's just literally how he is. He legitimately respects the sport. He respects getting in the ring. He respects doing what he does. And like, that's not like some part of his character. Like, no, that's just who he is. So now we'll get to the final match. So we have the undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa in a Bloodline Rules match.
Before we jump way into that match, what the shit was Cody Rhodes wearing on his damn head? What was that? What was that giant Funko Pop?
Like it was basically a mask that basically replicated his tattoo, but it kind of looked like the knockoff one from Triple H.
Yeah, it was just wild to see that.
He wore the same one. He wore the same mask at WrestleMania.
It was a little weird. Like
it looked ginormous. So you've seen those videos where they blow up the character's, the character's head and put it on a small body. It looked like that, and I was just like, this cannot be real life right now. I mean, you are wearing that.
Now, were you for the stupidly long entrance of Cody Rhodes, or do you think he should have just been normal? Like they could have done. Arn Anderson could have been in gorilla position to do that conversation versus Cody walking with his dog and just this whole like time driven, just blah 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 blah.
Maybe they were
blah.
eating time. Maybe that's championship prerogative. That's
It
part of the
just,
story.
it just, it didn't. It
It-
was just kind of weird. Like
I
yeah,
because they did the same thing with with LA Knight's entrance. Like, are they just really trying to like press for time, or are they trying to like because it's not creating any more buzz? Like we already knew, like and it's just him and his truck or whatever bust, and then like it was just kind of weird, and then they put his coat on him at the end, and it was just I don't know. It just seemed like an unnecessary amount of like 5 minutes to do the entrance before the entrance, and
you know, we've seen Randy Orton take 2 hours to get to the ring. We've seen
but that's him
we've
out there though.
we've seen Roman Reigns slow walk his way and milk the clock.
same thing with
The
Undertaker.
the
Yeah,
the
but he's the
only problem
Undertaker,
that
and
I
that's Roman
have,
Reigns. Like Cody hasn't reached that pinnacle for me that that he deserves to have a long entrance. I'm sorry. It doesn't fit his character, okay? Like it just
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
Undertaker has a long one because he's the Undertaker.
yeah.
Roman
And
had
he's
his
slow
because
walking, and he has both
he
his knees
slow walked the
replaced.
entrance because he freaking earned that. Okay, he earned that. Undertaker earned that. Hell, Goldberg earned that. That was his mantra for years. So like, I didn't like the long entrance at all. I thought it was dragging out time, and then the mask thing was even stupider. So
Yeah, the
anyway,
mask thing is what really threw me. So like him walking his dog, I'm just thinking like, hey man, your dog doesn't even want to be on TV with you. Just get yourself to the ring, and the whole giant bobblehead mask
paid here to come
was too
mute.
much.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
Oh, I
Anywho.
like the mask.
well,
It's
on
ma-
you.
it's
Two
made by
out
the
of three
dude that-
disagree with you.
I don't give a shit.
The mask was huge. That's the problem. Was the mask was huge. Now it wasn't like a Rey Mysterio type mask. It was like a Vader Japan era mask. That
You want me-
thing, if it started showing off
Hey,
lights
hey,
and
hey,
smoke and stuff,
Don't make me. I'll go put a mask on.
Yeah, we don't want your daddy Dom mask on. Okay.
Oh goodness, yes. So the problem
gosh,
that I
yes.
have with the mask,
Oh,
it
man.
was that it just seemed abnormally large,
I would put
and it
this one.
reminded me of like those old Ludacris music videos where he had his giant head and he had his big feet. It reminded me of that, and when he bent down and he put his fist on the ground, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I hope you lose. But other than that, the long entrance, I think it's anticipation. That anticipation. Other than that, I mean, whatevs. I mean, it wasn't a 2-hour walkout. It was just a little bit longer. And it was probably a lot longer, for him getting to the ring because he had to balance himself wearing that giant mask, Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, him like leaning over. It's like, whoa. Obviously he could see.
Oh shit!
Yep. He could see, but I'm pretty sure that there was someone talking to him in the mask, like, all right, take a step to the left. Now keep walking straight. Now take another step to the left because you're going, he really, he couldn't see. I know he couldn't see in that mask. He was just being lucky.
It was
So-
probably tipped down too far.
Yeah.
The way you put it on.
Just goodness, that mask.
Yeah, the guy that made his mask is the same guy that made the Wyatt Six mask.
All right.
Apparently he
So-
spent less time on Cody's.
I think that's just because that's what Cody decided he wanted.
No. No, that's
Okay.
not what happened. Brandy probably saw the bill as like, hey, can we get a little off of this, please? He's got
Go
a
as
child at
basic as
home.
possible. Just make it white. That's all I need.
And Arn probably looked at it and said, like, you really don't need this.
The one at
Your
WrestleMania,
daddy's
but it was
probably
white,
laughing
but it
at
had
you.
like the red, white, and blue colors and gold on it. The one at SummerSlam was just all white.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
that,
they
like the
went
other one,
for-
like the other one, he fell. The mask fell off him on the way in. They're like, oh, we got a backup. It's just white.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get to the match. Darn
Okay.
it! Now that we've skewed down the rabbit hole of his entrance and his mask and his dog, and his dog's like, I don't be a fan of this. But so, and we did not see Mama Rhodes.
That was a letdown.
You
Not
won't see
really.
that, Mama.
Hmm.
But so a pretty basic match in the beginning, and obviously until the Bloodline rules essentially caught up with the match. It really, it wasn't. I wasn't surprised by any of it, because all they did was repeat WrestleMania. Literally, it was a carbon copy. The only real difference we had was the recoming and returning Roman Reigns, and they're saying okay, Roman Reigns as a face or whatever, but like you couldn't tell, really, you really couldn't, honestly. Like it was more about him being pissed off at Solo for basically thinking he's the new tribal chief. He was more mad at him than he was at Cody. Cody really was a mute point, and so it was just basically like, hey, I'm coming back. You know, I'm at the head of the table, not you. I'm the tribal chief, not you. Now we have such a long period of time until WrestleMania when I think we finally get Roman versus Solo. Um, and so there's going to be a lot leading up to, some little snippets of stuff here and there in the next, 6 months maybe before we get a solidified, Roman versus Solo at WrestleMania. But, that's definitely something that looks like it's going to be worked towards. But, there's so much going on. I love it. You know what? The more things going on, the more entertained I am. And especially like with the fact that we had all of this build. Just every wrestling match at SummerSlam had a build. And I absolutely love that because the matches were booked like 2 weeks in advance. So like we already had a solidified match card 2 weeks before. So like it was just more build for those 2 weeks to like continually just let that match continue to like build and build and build. Like especially like the Gunther and Damian, like those two, like that was so much like just intensity of a build. There's more build to that than I feel like there was really any other match, honestly, because CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were like just chatters, just talk and stealing bracelets and stupid shit like that.
Bracelets.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously Cody retains due to Roman's what seemed like a minuscule, honestly, amount of impact on the match. I feel like it was Cody had already done like 3 or 4 crossroads before Roman came in. I feel like that spot for Roman was just more or less like, hey, I'm back. And here's
Yeah,
just do one move, just do one Superman punch and a spear and then leave.
it
Like,
makes Roman seem to be this I don't know, this really great above others figure that he could like change the outcome after this in this match, even after Cody had already done a lot of damage. It's
yeah,
the equivalent of like handing someone the stuck jar after you done spent 15 minutes trying to unscrew it and then they just pop the top off
right,
and
yeah,
give it
and
back
it
to
didn't
you.
have much impact on the outcome. Honestly, it was a small spot for Roman to return. Roman has very synonymous with SummerSlam, so it was only fitting to have him. And he didn't need to have anybody with him.
Right.
Like we're not to that point where like, obviously we're going to have a Survivor Series War Games match, Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0. Like we already know that's going to happen, so like we have to let that part of that story build in the weeks and months to come versus just poof, here it is, because it would make no sense for Roman to come out with anybody, because Cody didn't need anybody beyond besides Roman, because Kevin Owens and Randy Orton have already brought out the rest of them all out, and so like it wasn't a situation where you needed multiple people. So, but honestly, like SummerSlam in its entirety, like most of the outcomes were pretty predictable. It was more enamoring of this Judgment Day stuff. This is the stuff that's really getting me, honestly, beyond Bloodline stuff. Like this whole Judgment Day, like it's gonna be a whole different monster tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. Like
Yeah,
I
boy.
mean, that's the story that I'm more concerned about. I don't care that Roman came back. I don't care that the Wyatt Six unmasked themselves. I want to see the implosion of Judgment Day. Because if Finn screws Damian, so now Damian's pissed at him, but like who's really solidified in the Judgment Day at this point? Dominic
Carlito.
left, Rhea lost. You might see Finn Balor and JD McDonough just branch out. Like this is truly an absolute out of nowhere, snap your fingers in one night, Judgment Day is fucked. Like seriously, one night. It took one night for really just us to go from 60 to 0 with Judgment Day. And I think that is great storytelling, and that is great like creative work to put all these angles in, put all this stuff together, and just give us one night for 3 hours to tell so much stories on every match. And just man, I'm loving WWE right now. I love the Paul Levesque era. I am all about it. You can just tell by his PLEs, man. You can tell by the storytelling. I mean, it's really something to watch. It really is. Like, I mean, we obviously knew, we pretty certain that Liv was going to retain, but like how it happened, I couldn't have wrote that. I couldn't have wrote that one. you know, Finn screwing over Damian. Didn't see that coming. Bloodline
neither.
stuff. I mean, we kind of seen that coming, but like Logan Paul losing after being in his home city. And I literally told you guys last week, I said, they're in the business of screwing people over in their own cities.
Yeah.
So you can quote me on that. I literally said, they have a knack for screwing people over in their own city. And it happened. I am speaking some truth, and so I absolutely cannot wait till Raw tomorrow to see just the fallout, and maybe we'll get Paul and maybe Brock Lesnar or something on Monday Night Raw. Who knows? Definitely this week, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. I love the fallout after big PLEs, especially like WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Like those are the two Raw and SmackDowns that are the most impactful, or they should be, because you have the fallout. And especially with all the stories that we had at SummerSlam, there's going to be fallout left and right. I mean, Tiffany Stratton, yeah, she's got her pretty little purse now, her pretty little Money in the Bank. For all intents and purposes, maybe she goes and takes the championship from Liv. And then Liv and Rhea just have beef with no title.
Which could be interesting. Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, Tiffany Stratton's on one show, but she could be on any show. She has the title. She has the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, she could pick whoever she wants.
So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm entertained. Like, there's so much looming things that we don't know. But when we get what we think we wanted and we get what we didn't think we knew we wanted, like, it's WWE is amazing. So, we'll put a pin in this, and I think that, again, we're season 2, episode 2. I feel like it's, we're gelling, we're going. So, we'll get to you guys next week, with all the fallout, any of the rumors, maybe some pipe dreams that we so much love to talk about, some fantasy booking. We do what we do. So this is the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.